Thanks, Freak. And guys, this was the Curse team that we were looking for yesterday. What was the turnaround?
I think it was team composition. I think they sucked yesterday in terms of their drafting, and today they brought it together. I really think forcing a Yasuo composition and playing to their strengths, their win conditions, is exactly what they did today, and that's what they needed to do yesterday. Because Curse's edge against all these other teams is their pick ban phase. You have to ban Tristana against them. They banned it themselves, but you also have to take into consideration what Quas plays top and split pushes with, what Voyboy's deep champion pool brings to the table. So that's what they need to play at in Champions League, and they didn't do that yesterday. Today, they started off strong.
And they came out swinging, which is very important for them to not be down in the dumps. You know, they came out aggressive, and they matched LMQ's aggression. So probably talk to me about having, in this match, I mean, the number of fights that broke out, all the brawling that happened, and having two hyper-aggressive teams now.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun because both teams kind of wanted to fight. The only thing was LMQ wanted to fight with Twitch opening up on someone, and then Curse wanted to fight by just, running at their faces. So it was really fun to see, who's going to get to engage here. And I think the problem with that game was LMQ got to engage, but it was normally off of a TF ult, which didn't really leave Twitch in a good position because they had Yasuo, they had Braum, so they had a lot of ways to stop Twitch ult if they wanted to, and that kind of, I think, threw off their team fight.
Yeah, the Twisted Fate was really their only source of engage that they could have used there. Nami was also the other one that they could back it up with, but like you said, Wind Wall and Unbreakable, they had to play around that, but also Curse did a really good job on their side of playing around the pick of Twitch and TF.
Yeah, the double Wind Wall is definitely tough to play around. They did have a couple engages by No Name with Lee Sin kicks, things like that. We were mentioning that his Lee Sin play seems to have leveled up. We never really noticed through the season much of it, and then all of a sudden, I mean, he was all over the place this game.
Yeah, his Lee Sin leveled up, but his shot calling, if everybody on LMQ is following that shot calling, I am not a fan of that at all because they are picking the wrong fights. You pick a fight where you traded 80 carry, Vasily, for support on the other side, Special, and then you still pick that fight. I don't know what's up with LMQ right now, but they do not seem like their normal selves.
All right, let's look at a couple of the early fights, and then we'll get into kind of the way the game played out. We're going to go 12 minutes into the game in the top lane, where LMQ chooses to, dive over aggressively, and Curse turns it around. Probably I'm going to let you take this one away as we pull it up on the screen here.
Oh yeah, so this was, they're just looking for a TF gank, and they want a 3v1 dive. And we can go ahead and roll the clip. So right now, TF ults, and they see Elise, but I think they're too tunneled on Quas right now. So they actually port underneath the turret, and the cocoon was perfect. If that didn't get hit, I think they would have been able to walk out, but the cocoon hits, Quas gets a Q, and now Xiao Wei's tanking the turret. And after this, he just starts falling. And if you want to fast forward a tiny bit, the best part comes in a second. If you look at the minimap, Voyboy is coming in, and this is some perfect professional level foresight. So he's running directly down. He doesn't want to get through lane, and he flashes over this wall, if you can see it right there, because he knows he can close this gap and be able to dive them. Luckily, No Name is able to get out of this, but Ackerman's just left underneath the turret. Dominate does a nice little tank for him, and Voyboy cleans up the fight.
Flashes the Wind Wall.
I love the flash Wind Wall. I mean, to be fair, he probably would have dashed to him if he hadn't flashed there. But two easy pickups there for Curse, and that kind of, I feel like, gave him a little bit of surge of confidence there to keep them back in the game. We're going to jump right into our second replay, 15 minutes into the game, so it's not much longer. Probably going to let you take this one away too. We're in LMQ's red side jungle here.
Okay, so this starts off with No Name, kind of running in to Dominate, and Dominate's very far ahead of No Name at this point. So we can go ahead and roll it. Dominate is just, he sees the level discrepancy, and he just goes for a fight. And right now, it just almost hubris, almost tunneling. They just want to get this kill, but they don't really take into account the position of the rest of LMQ. So right now, they're able to burn 2 ults to get No Name. But if you watch LMQ, they're collapsing on this, and they get a great TP up. Wind Wall's down, or Wind Wall wasn't up by then, so Moore gets a nice Nami ult in there, and now they're just waiting to clean up the fight because all their ults are down on Curse's side. Voyboy goes in and try to clean up some stuff, but then again, still no ult. Xiao Wei is able to come behind the back and just start getting stuns off. At this point, it's just Curse trying to pick up something because the fight was lost. But then, boom, Cop does his aggressive play and starts coming over the wall and ends up carrying the fight.
Cop is much more aggressive as of late. I've been noticing the Valkyrie over the wall and then the flashback into the fight. And on Corki, he's usually in that almost melee range.
Yeah, he's hungry for blood, to say the least. So as the game continued, we saw LMQ pick up a decent lead through a couple more fights and an early Baron for themselves. But they couldn't close out the game. I feel like at one point in the game, you ask anybody, they would have said LMQ, if they play the map correctly and play their gold lead correctly, that they would have closed that game out. So what went wrong in the execution?
They picked fights they shouldn't have picked. Just flat out, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They would be like, all right, we picked one off, but we traded 1-for-1. It wasn't the right 1-for-1 we were looking for, and they just didn't play to their win conditions there. And the Voyboy was on point with his win walls during the second half of the game.
All right, so probably final question here. Which of the players on LMQ need to kind of temper that, I guess, a trigger-happy, sense of self in order to make sure that when they do secure a lead, maybe in this next game, that they can follow through on it?
I think Vasily needs to at least communicate. He was playing Twitch that game against a Braum and a Yasuo, which are both pretty big counters at Twitch in a way. So Vasily either needs to communicate, hey guys, we can't fight this unless I say it's okay, because he would just get nullified in these fights. So I think if he ups his communication and knows what he needs and it tells his team that, they can just work around that and they'll be able to clean up fights better.
All right, and a little factoid there just to drop at the end here is that Cop actually tied his career high. 4 kills at 14, so congratulations. That points to that aggression that you were speaking of there, Irene. We'll see if he can continue to wear those carry pants through the rest of the series. But based on Game 1, it looks like we're in for an exciting one at that. And after the break, we'll jump into Game 2 between Curse and LMQ. The North American Summer Playoffs continue after this.